Welcome everybody to our newest live stream. We're so excited about what we're showing off today. Karen's got all of her pretties laid out in front of her, and we are going to be playing with all kinds of metallic and pearlescent and shimmering mediums today. So Karen's going to show a bunch of cool different techniques to make pretties like this, and that's it for me. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you so much, Phoebe. Today's Friday. It's one of those Fridays where I just really want to relax. It's just what a perfect way to relax and to get your watercolors out and your metallic shimmery paints just to have a little fun. So I've got a lot of different things up here, and I want to cover things that lots of things, but I'm just going to show you some of the little watercolors that I like to add a little shimmer to, either before or during the painting process, or after as an embellishment. So I'll just kind of go through these a little bit. I know there's so many, but I'll just start with maybe explaining that I painted the background and I dropped in some watercolor. I'm sorry, some Gansai watercolors, which I'm going to go over. And it created very soft. I don't know if you see this, it's probably hard to see on the camera, but wow. It really created a soft shimmer, but I see that I need to add something else, so I may do some more work on this card. But really, adding a little metallic to your watercolors really just adds some dimension. And here's some more solid watercolor metallics, and a little bit here. I don't know if you can see it, but as I rotate it, you can see a little bit. I'm also going to talk about the silverpoint pen drawing tool, which we have kind of as it's a new item for Yasutomo, and it is on its own metallic. You see that shimmer that's happening right there? That is with the silver point, and I'm going to cover that a little bit. I think I did this in one of our demos recently. I wanted just to kind of cover that. Also, I'm going to talk about our tried and true set that we have, this metallic watercolor paint that we have, that you can do all kinds of things. And if you mix it with the Gansai, and these are Gansai, the silver and gold centers on these flowers are the Gansai watercolors. So really you can intermix them, which is really great. I'm just going to I've kind of got these out because there's just a lot of things that I can cover, but this is actually silver point with a stencil, and I want to explain that with mineral paper or gessoed paper. And this is just a little exercise I did the other day, and we posted this on Instagram. I just made some really loose flowers and then went in and doodled with our detail master and used a little Gansai watercolor right in the center, and just to make little things there, just little embellishments. I thought that was really fun. This is mineral paper, and I'm going to go over that too. Watercolor and mineral paper using a stencil and the silver point as my drawing tool. And that gives a little shimmer. Not only does you get a little metallic, but you also have a really delicate drawing that kind of disappears after you do the watercolor. So I'm going to go over that. I'm also going to go over, I want to show you the stuff that you saw on Instagram. This is the Gansai watercolors. I actually used a compass to make this drawing. And I've got two drawings here, and these were lined with the Gansai watercolors, which are these lovely things, and I can't wait to share those with you. This is just taking a compass, and this is the actual compass I used, and creating circles with the pencil drawing, really kind of light circles. I did 4 full circles, and then I did little quarter circles and half circles, and it created this really interesting geometric pattern. And then I just painted in between each line, and what really finishes it off and makes it a really beautiful painting is the gold. If I didn't edge this with the gold, it would just wouldn't look as nice. So I wanted to tell you about that, how metallic watercolors are just fantastic for just a finishing touch. Like this one, I'm going to add some gold to that. Here's another example. We can just splatter it with a brush. Some silver, and look at, I've got this really pretty shimmery snow scene instead of using just the white. And here's one I wanted to work on today. A little bit more metallic, just a little bit of shimmer in your watercolors. So I'm going to get started and just kind of go over this stuff with you. Oh, also, we have so little time, but I wanted to also share another product that we have a little bit more in depth. And even though I may not pull it out and show it, I've got some examples today of our metallic inks. And I wanted to just kind of dispel some myths or some misconceptions with these. And, and if anybody has this ink already and would like to, learn a little bit more about it, I'm going to share that with you too. So that's just some mark making that I did with our Sumi inks. And here's a dragonfly that I'm going to add a little shimmer to. So they've got everything kind of staged up. But the first thing I wanted to share with you is, our watercolor set that I love so much. It's always good to swatch out your watercolors. And when you swatch them out, and I actually did this Wednesday with my ladies, and if anybody's here from the group on Wednesday, hi, I hope you are here. This is the finished swatch card, and it normally I used to laminate them with plastic, and that kept smearing and water getting on it when you're using your watercolors. But I found something that's even better. I found something that I absolutely love for sealing your watercolors. And this is for all watercolors, including your finished metallics. I've got a little swatch card that I did the other day, including the Gansai watercolors. You can see those metallics there and see how opaque they are. I just, one thing when you're swatching, just as an idea for you, is if you want to make some marks with a Sharpie or a permanent marker, you can find out how transparent your watercolors are by putting the color over the line. And if it's see-through, you know that it's a transparent color. This is actually a mix of different brands, but I'm going to tell you that these from the Essential watercolor mixing set are totally transparent. And that's why you don't make mud when you work with these. But what I did with this one is now it's waterproof, and if I get water on this the smudges, it's not going to move. And the reason that is the way it is instead of laminating it, I actually have two products that I'm going to recommend. And it's your choice what you want to do with which type. But this Microglaze is fantastic for sealing your paper. You can use it with your finger. It's just very, it doesn't have anything. I believe it's just basically paraffin oil and wax, and it's acid free, and it's just wonderful. You put it on your paper, and you notice it's not smudging or causing the watercolors to smear. Of course, this is completely dry watercolor, and it feels really really yummy. It feels like lotion almost. And you can leave that on, just put a little thin coat on, let it sit for a little bit of time.
And is that a wax, Karen?
Yeah, this is actually a paraffin wax. It's a combination of paraffin waxes. I'm not sure the real formula, but Judikins, our friend Judy and Rob, they manufacture this, and they even manufacture it for Ranger. It was designed or developed by a paper. I think she was a marbler she is a paper crafter in the Pacific Northwest. And this is called Microglaze. It's fantastic for protecting inks, dyes, paints, acrylics, watercolors, and inkjet printing. Even your inkjet prints, you know how they bleed, right? You put this on it and you're going to seal it. This is fantastic. I would suggest to everyone that does any watercolor should have this in there, or mixed media or collage. Have this. It's just something you got to have. Now, that's Microglaze, and it's also called Distress Glaze by Ranger. So if you're like that. The other thing that this is a little bit more on the art supply side, this is considered a craft product, but it's also, an art supply. But it, tends to be marketed more towards the paper craft people. Now these two, they're both similar. Dorland's wax medium and cold wax medium, Gamblin and Jacquard. There might be another brand. I'm just bringing these up because I actually use those to do some heavy duty sealing, because this has some resin in it. I'm not going to put my fingers in it today. Well, I could, and I'll just wipe my hand off. Really, I don't think I would recommend using your fingers. It's a little thicker or it just feels more, it has a smell, and it just feels, I don't know, it's not as lotiony feeling. It's a little bit thicker, and it goes on the same, except I would probably use a brush or some brush that you don't care about. it goes the same. You leave it on to dry. Like that one needs more time to dry, and you actually just leave it until it becomes kind of hard because it does have a resin. You put a thin coat on, and the same thing. What I'm trying to say is this is going to seal your watercolors. It's also, it means you don't need to use glass. Like when you're, if you want to give away a watercolor and you don't want to frame it with glass, you can do it this way. Now I'm just going to take my soft, it's just a soft cotton paper towel. It's actually a Viva paper towel, just so you know. Viva is my favorite, but you can use a soft cotton cloth. And all you need to do is buff it. Buff it until it's no longer feels sticky. And you have a sealed card for your swatching. You can also seal your artist trading cards, since I know we're doing an artist trading card swap. Let's say you have some watercolors, and I really wanted to bring this up because a lot of times when we do, this is a watercolor artist trading card. It's not sealed, you know, the label's not on the back, but I can put the stuff right on top of that. And what it's going to do is it's going to make it so it seals it, and so that if it's going to be handled, which watercolors normally aren't, but the artist trading cards are. So you may just want to do this and seal your your artist trading cards, especially the watercolor ones, because the acrylic ones are already sealed just by virtue of the paint. So I just wanted to share that with you, a little tidbit going forward before I start the painting. But this is
Karen,
one of my
also, I'm just
favorite.
gonna throw it in now since
Yeah.
so I don't forget later. But also, somebody was asking if you could go over the differences between the inks, and I know today mostly we're focusing on the metallics, but if you have a chance to go over like the green, the KF ink versus some of the others, people would
Oh
love to
yeah.
know.
Yeah, let me do that real quick because I'll do that definitely. Let's go over the KF and KY. So we've got KF is our green bottle. I'm gonna grab that out of my stash here. With the green bottle, it comes in different sizes, different. This is the littlest one. I think that's a 2 ounce. This one is the KY series. Now, years and years ago, when I first started Yasutomo, and that's like last century, it was a long time ago, 30 years ago. There was significant differences between these two. This one had shellac in it, which was, shellac is a product that you have to be, there was some health label issues and some other things, and it also used to destroy metal nibs. Make a long story short, shellac is no longer in it, but it does have PVA, which is polyvinyl acetate. It makes it water resistant, but it's a little bit better, more friendly than the shellac. And this one has zero anything added to it. So the addition of this, it used to be a health label on these because of the shellac. It's no longer. So I guess the two differences are a little PVA here, and the other cool thing is this lid serves as a brush rest. And if you want to just dip your brush right into the ink bottle, this is my ink go-to ink for that. If you just somebody who wants to just do some direct painting and you don't want to put it in a dish, this one you want to put in a dish. But they're both just the same concentration of pigment. It looks the same when you put it on the paper. Now, I mean, if you have any questions, please ask on that. But I wanted to also talk about these inks. These are our Chinese inks. We also have solid black and solid, different concentrations. But I want to talk about these because we've had these for quite a while, but they are kind of misunderstood, because when you look at them, you think, wow, this is metallic ink. And you hope that when you take it out of the bottle, it's going to be bright gold or bright silver. It is not. What it is, it's just black ink infused with metallic pigment or powder, and it's kind of floats. So if you have this, hear that? There's a ball there's a ball that's, I don't know how big it is, but it's a large bead that is inside each of these bottles. If you shake it and you don't hear that bead, going back and forth, you need to keep shaking it until you do hear that, because sometimes, especially when you buy them new, that pigment settles down at the bottom and maybe that bead gets stuck down in there and then it doesn't want to come loose. But it will eventually. You just may have to get a little aerobic activity to get it done. But once it becomes loose, you can see it's loose. I did shake it earlier. This is a fabulous ink to give you metallic effects. And I'm just going to show you, since I'm not bringing out my ink today, since I plan to do some other demos, but today, this little while ago, I just did some drawing, just a quick little drawing using the ink. Like I've got another one here on different kinds of paper. This one I kind of smeared because it didn't dry in time, but this is the Torinoco paper. And as you know, the Torinoco, or washi paper, is sized, and you notice it doesn't soak through. And what it did is it didn't really, it gives me a very subtle gold. I don't know if you see that, but there's, when I turn it and look at it, I just see kind of a brownish toned black with a slight, very ever so slight shimmer. This is straight out of the bottle. There's no dilution. And this is what happens when you do it on a sized paper. But if you do it on an unsized paper, such as the Gassen, look at the difference. The Gassen, of course, is not sized. It's soaked through a little bit. And you could see that the particles of gold floated on top, and the ink settled down into the fibers. And that's what makes this so much fun, especially when you're working on the washi papers. This is the silver ink on a unsized, so you can see it soaked right into the black just soaked in, and it kind of leaves on some papers a little outline. And I don't know if you see that, but it's a very subtle black outline. It reminds me of those outliner pens back in the day, which they no longer make. But this is another type of paper, and I don't remember which one this is, but it's also left a nice little line, but it didn't soak in as much. So depending on the papers you use, you're going to get a different effect. So it's something to play with and have fun with. And I just like making marks and doing little things with the papers, with the inks, and then creating I created a collage paper here, and I cut it down and made little birds a couple of weeks ago. So really anything mark making exercises that you do, you can use them for other things. I just wanted to
And
share.
Karen,
Yeah.
can you speak really quickly to someone's question asking, can you use calligraphy pens or nibs with those inks?
Yes, both of these now are safe to use with the metal nibs. Back in the day, this was not. This I remember years ago, though, when it still had the shellac, it would corrode that make the nibs rust, would corrode the nibs. But both of these are fine to use. But suggestion would be to stick with this one because there's no additive, there's no what is it called? There's no PVA in this one. So I think your flow might be differently. And I think I would just stick with this for calligraphy nibs, not for corrosion issues, but for issues of possibly flow differences, if that makes sense. Just because there's some PVA, just a little bit, but there's a little bit that may kind of affect the flow. I hope that helps.
Yeah, and just to clarify for everyone, the rectangular bottle ink that Karen's recommending is the KY series ink.
Yes, KY, and it's a nice little pour bottle. The bigger ones, what I love, the bigger ones have a spout like this. The 6-inch or the larger ones have one of these spouts. And I love these spouts for just ease of pouring into your dish. And this one's fine too, but if you're getting the bigger bottle, they'll have a nice pour spout. So I'm gonna just pull since I wasn't planning to do ink, and the reason I'm not doing ink and watercolor today is because ink and watercolors don't really like to be together. Your brushes, you have to get a whole separate brush. You just want to do them at a separate session. Unless you're using the Gansai watercolors, you still want to use separate brushes. I always if I'm using these with my inks, I do my ink painting first, and then I'll go back with the Gansai watercolors. That's like if we're doing origami or anything else, just make your ink session a separate session. So I'm just going to pull out my watercolors here. And what I love about having a swatch, because these are so transparent, I can't tell what these are in here, right? So having this little swatch here makes me know what I've got in my tray. And that's really the case for almost any of your sets that you have. It's always good to do a little swatching. They do a little swatching session, name the pigments so you'll remember, because I always forget. And then this now has been treated with the wax medium, so I can get it slop paint on it, and it's just going to wipe right off. So just wanted to share that. I think that would be fun. So I'm going to grab. It is artist trading card season, right? So I'm going to do something kind of small. But I'm also going to do several things. So first thing is I'm going to bring out these Gansai watercolors. These are my 3 favorite metallic paints in the world because they're highly opaque and gorgeous stackable dishes. See how they just stack together like beautifully. We have 3 different colors. There's a reddish gold. This is the light gold. That's number 58, the color number 58. I think this is 59, and I think this is 60. I'm sure Phoebe can clarify, but these are incredible. You can just wait till you see them go down on the paper. This is what I lined these geometric shapes with, okay? So depending on the paper that you use, if it's an absorbent paper, which I do have some rice paper somewhere in my pile, it's gonna, on the rice paper, or I'm sorry, washi paper, gotta stop saying rice paper. On the washi paper, this is some washi paper I've got. It's going to do beautifully, and on the sized watercolor paper, it's also gonna be beautiful. Now you can do straight out of the jar. Now what I like to do is I just wet it, a little water, about just like that. I just put a little moisture in it to get it started. I'm going to use my Fusion #1 brush, and let's say I want to add some little sparkles to these wings or something. I may do that too. I'm just going to grab some things just to kind of make some marks here. I'm going to just show you how gorgeous this paint is. I'm going to just pull it out, and you could see how it just fills that brush gorgeously with paint, and see how it's just this is like the stuff. So you can do lettering. Let's say you want to make some lettering. Of course, I do this on a black dark paper, or maybe paper that's already been painted. I probably should get you some black paper so you can see. In fact, I do have some right here. I've got a sheet of this postcard paper, which we have had for a while. There we go. This is part of our stencil set. So you can do, there we go, lettering. You can do this for just embellishing. Keep your, when you're using it, keep your brush loaded with water because it's so highly pigmented. You want plenty of pigment, but plenty of water to move that pigment on your paper. So I'm just going to kind of do like a little bit of like loose lettering here. And look how gorgeous that is. Now that's like almost like a white, pearly, silvery white. And when it dries, it'd be even more intense. But it's stunning. Here it is on white. So that tells me that there's more white than, it's not that silver gray. And that's why I like mixing it with color. Let me explain that. Okay. I'm just going to
Karen,
stay on
sorry
this
again.
silver. Yes.
This is one more question that came up. Do
Yeah.
you know if there's an artist trading card Facebook group, maybe outside of Yasutomo? Because I know we don't have a Facebook group, but is there one that you know of?
I don't know of one, but I'm sure there are. If you search, there's so many trading opportunities. But if I find out, I'll let you know, and we'll put it in the comments from our or maybe from our artist trading card. We'll put it somewhere.
We'll make it obvious for everybody. Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking for sure in the blog post that goes along with this demo, and then also like Karen said in our artist trading card swap.
Yeah, we'll
post.
put maybe some resources for you so you have some places to go, and once you start making artist trading cards, okay, so I'll tell you.
Yeah, and then also I'm just gonna jump in for
Yeah.
one more thing. Oh my gosh, they're so pretty. But also a few people have been asking about the Gansai, the metallic Gansai. So maybe I could just verbally say it while we show them. Because there's the pale gold one. That one is item number WC 21658. And then there's our reddish gold one that's a little bit warmer. And that's item number WC 21659. And then the silver, of course, is WC 21660. And these are Japanese Gansai that come in these really large, beautiful rounds. And I am putting the item numbers in the pinned comment of the chat too, just in case we need a reference there. So, all right.
Thank you, Stevie. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to pull this silver out, the number 60. It's more of a white, which is, to me, is better because it's really going to be amazing. I want to make some shimmery wings here, do a little layer. And it's not gonna, if I used silver, like real silver, which kind of looks gray or graphite, has a little kind of a dark color. I'm gonna get a dull wash of color. So I'm gonna add, just for fun, I'm gonna add a little bit of some phthalo blue, maybe, just a touch. And I'm gonna color that. Look at that gorgeous, I don't know if you see it. Look, if you see that in there, it's a pearl blue that is insane. I'm gonna put it on straight watercolor paper so you can just see that color, and then we'll wait for it to dry. But there's a gorgeous blue that's going to give me a little shimmer, but it's not overwhelming. And I basically toned my silver, or this becomes amazing metallic or shimmer additive for your watercolors. And I'm just going to do a little touch. Maybe I'll add some more silver here. Just a very, very light shimmer. And I'm just going to go over this one. Actually, that's not the one I was going to go over, but it's all right. I'm going to do it anyway. I know, I'll do it over on this. Yeah, I'm going to do it on this because that I had another plan for. But I've got my blue kind of toned, and I'm just going to take it and do a whole glaze of shimmer over this dark part of the leaf. And really just as a way to just kind of give it a little layer, but not to change the color much. And that's one way. You can also create a new, let's say you wanted to make a shimmery leaf. I'll just do it on this one here. And I'm loving this as it's drying, by the way. If I want to make a shimmery leaf, I've got my gorgeous shimmer in there, but it's not overwhelming, like overly metallic looking. It looks just very subtle, and it's really, really beautiful. So I'm just going to let that dry, and I'll show it to you in a little bit. Now, if I want to just take this silver and do like a really super statement here, I'm going to grab my little fine brush, or my small tip, my number 1, and I'm just going to take that silver and I'm going to make a highlight. Maybe I can just make some little lines or something here, but you can see how concentrated this is. I'm just going to do a line, and the finer the brush line I can get, I'm going to make some marks. So I just made little marks that are really opaque, and that will dry even more opaque. And then maybe over here, I'll make some little dots, kind of little circles. Those don't look like circles, they look more like blobs. There is a way to make circles, but I wasn't doing that right there. Here we go. Just load it up and start small and then work your way out. That's kind of how you make circles with a brush. But you can also dip it in the back of it and make little, you can make little dots that way too. Here we go. So that is the silver, which is more of a pearl. We can call it pearl silver. I think that's how I'm going to rename it because it's just so pretty. And so you just can kind of make highlights the way you want, and you can use it dry or wet. So there's a dry brush of it. So it's just kind of a soft dry brush. Here's the opaque and then more concentrated. There's another way to use this, and I love doing this. This is when I make a mess. It's okay, I'll make a mess. So if I take a bigger brush and put plenty of color in my brush, like so, and I'm going to just tap and create a splatter. So I don't know if you see that, but I'm able to get gorgeous spattery sort of sparkles that will look really nice when it dries. And it is a pearly white. You can use this for holiday cards, holiday paintings, anything. This one, look at the way it's shine. Look at the dry. This one's drying. That pearl color is so pretty, mixed with the blue watercolor. I just think that it's just stunning. So that's the silver. I think I hope I got you excited about silver. That this is a way to tint your colors with some shine, but not really changing the value, the warm or coolness of it. It's neutral. It's not going to make it cooler. It's not going to make it warmer. If you want to do that, you can do that. You can tone those with the gold and the silver. So let me explain that. I'm going to just wipe this out. I do plan to just kind of use this as my palette today. And I'm going to just kind of take it just show you demonstrate the gold and the silver, or two different golds. So you've got that one. I'm going to demonstrate this. This one's the pale gold. I'll put this one right here. Now, cleaning my brush out thoroughly so I don't have any silver particles in there. You'll notice when you're working with these metallics, they'll float on your water because they're so light. They'll float to the top. And there's another thing you can do some gashi with this stuff, and it will float and create all kinds of wonderful metallic effects. So this is just the paint straight out of the pen. And I'm just going to do another hello. Or TG, no, yeah, hello. Here, I'll just do it. And I'm just going to see, you can see I can get really nice lines, very opaque lines. And that's how I did that little geometric painting. I just basically took my pen and went along the line, or this brush, and just went along and made lines. But I kept the brush loaded with plenty of water. If it gets too dry, these lines aren't even. So there we go. So you can see how nice and bright those are. I'll finish this lettering here a little bit. And see how nice and opaque that is. That is on the black. Let me go on the white. We're going to just do a little thing here. And I think I'll just do some, maybe this gold, put a little line through this leaf maybe. There we go. Just a beautiful gold line. And maybe on the outside, I could use this as a gold pen. If you use, instead of a gold pen, if you use a nice fine little liner brush, you can get really nice fine lines and very opaque. And it is water, it's water-based and easy to deal with. It won't run out of ink. It won't clog your, it won't dry up on you. You've got this incredible gold, yummy stuff going on here. So that's straight. Now, if you want to dilute, let's put some of this in our, I've got some of that gold left over, and I'm going to put some of the same blue that I used. I think I used the phthalo, right? I'm pretty sure. And I'm going to put a little bit of that in, just a little bit. Now, you notice what it did? It changed it. It's turning it green because the gold is mixing with the blue, creating a green tone, which is warming it up, that's for sure. So I'm just going to put a little, maybe I can add a little green, some green marks here, just something here. But see how I just toned that blue to be a different color than what was originally out there. And it's subtle, but it's really pretty. I'll do it on this. And I think it might be pretty dark on this one, but I just want to show you. But it's that kind of a green, bronze green color that happened. So you can use these Gansai watercolors with your European, I mean, I'll say Western, but European colors. And these three can be with your watercolors, and you can just create all kinds of amazing sort of shimmery effects without having to, invest in a bunch of different colors. Like some brands have blue, metallic blues, orange, reds, all that. Well, you've got this cool and warm thing happening here. So I'm going to show you the red gold. This has a little bit of vermilion in it, or some red ink. I'm not sure if it's vermilion, but it has a little red. And so it's going to make a different kind of gold. I'm going to show it to you with this brush. Now, the difference between the red gold and the gold is right here. The red gold is a more reddish tone. And then you've got your gold, your yellow gold is a little bit just more pure gold. And then this has that reddish tone. And that's why I like both. I like having it all, don't we all? So I'm just going to I've got some of this in here, and I'm going to mix it with some of that blue just because we've already done that blue just to test it, to show you what it will do. So that's the phthalo blue, and I'm mixing it, and then what it's coming out is, it's almost like a muted, it's still the blue, but it's not the green because it's not as yellow. That's makes sense. I'm just going to do, maybe I'll go over, get that, where'd it go? There it is. Just going to grab this paper and show you the difference between that and this one with the green. I don't have as much metallic in it, so let me just mix more and show you. But it tones it. It does tone it so that it's more of a warmer color. This is more of a yellow. This is more of has a warmer tone. It's very subtle, and this is the blue watercolor, and this is separating. I don't know if you see that but it's hard to tell in the black. Let's see if I can do something with the artist trading card here. I'm just going to do a little mix of fun. I'm just going to do something fun. I'm going to take the phthalo blue out of my set. And I'm just going to do it, just sort of stuck on the leaf thing. I'm going to do a leaf today. Start a leaf, and then I'm going to add, why not? I'm going to add a little bit of this yellow gold. And I'm just going to drop it in. It probably won't spread much. It's not spreading at all. It's just kind of sitting there, which is kind of fine. I'm going to just let those sort of do their thing. And then on the second side, I'm going to mix the color with the watercolor. So here's, oops, I'm going to go back to this one. And if you were only going to buy one, I would suggest this one. If you're going to buy just two, let's say you really only could have wanted to buy two, please, the silver and the yellow or the light gold would be your best bet. This would be, is gorgeous on its own, but these would be good for your, just sort of your essential too. So I'm going to mix this with the phthalo blue like I did with the other. Here we go, little phthalo blue. I'm going to have a green here, very pretty green. And I should have got my bigger brush, which, because I want the same brush stroke. So I'm going to just load that up with my kind of mix there. And I'm just going to kind of make a leaf, the side of my leaf. And look how pretty that is. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you see that, but it's a stunning color on its own. I'm just going to make a little extra part here. I'm waiting for that to dry. And that's like crazy. But this one is a subtle color that I'm mixed with the phthalo blue. It's a new color. It's just so pretty. It's like making this this Niji essential set. It turns it into a whole new ball game. This I'll leave alone, let that sit, and I'll come back to. And I've got some more paper I want to play with. But I just wanted to share that this right here. That's all you need. I mean, this is nice too, but these two I'm going to recommend. A big seal, the big plus, you got to have these. And they do come in a set, or they come in these little plastic boxes, and you can actually store the plastic, store them in the plastic boxes if you want to. They come like these really cool boxes. Do you know what I've done with these? I actually don't have any right now, but he's actually make really cool little containers for storing things, but also making books. It's very nice, handy little storage thing. It does protect it if you are traveling. It protects these from getting broken or, or shattered. The other good thing about this, these are totally reusable. If you ever run out, I have run out of this before. It's only a thin layer of metallic here. And then once you use it all, then you've got this dish you can reuse, and you can use it as a mixing dish. Kind of like the way we use our ceramic dishes, which I think, well, I don't know what these cost, Phoebe, but these are just as good. When you use these up, you can reuse these for mixing large washes of watercolor. So that's why I love these so much. And they've been around for many, many years, and they're just a fantastic addition to your watercolor arsenal for sure. Now
And
that
those rounds individually, they retail for $18.40. So some people in the comments were asking if they're available in any smaller sizes. Not individually from us, but we do have another set. It's a 6-color set that includes a mix of these metallics and also like red, white, and black. So it's kind of got the classic Asian colors. And they're
it would
that
look
size.
like this size. It's this size, but you'll have the gold and the silver will look like this size. So
Yes,
that's a good
but I
size.
will say that that set of 6 colors that I mentioned, the red, white, black, and the metallics, does cost more overall. It retails for $33. So yeah, it's up to you, but we do have that as well.
And it might be kind of nice, something we can think about, and people, you can tell us if something you would want is maybe just a little set of 3 metallics in the small trays. I think that's something we could make available. It's available. We could probably make a little 3-piece metallic set in the future if you're interested. I mean, it might be something we can throw in our new products queue. So just as an idea, but there's probably not that inexpensive. I think you're getting more value with these because of the reusable ceramic dish, and for the price you're getting a lot more color, and you got much more use out of this. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on that one. Now I'm going to move on from the Gansai, unless you have any more questions. I want to show you some fun little things. Is
No
it?
more questions, but positive feedback on the idea of the metallic round. And then also someone else mentioned the idea of having a set of metallics with primaries. Leslie, love that idea too.
Yep. Yeah, like we have actually, if we had like now these Gansai colors, it's really hard to make a primary set that is a real mixable set because these are different kinds of pigments. So they really don't do the transparent pigments like this set is. This is these are more mineral based and they're just not opaque. They're kind of we call them semi-transparent. But I think a metallic set, there are some pearl colors that are available. And we might be able to just do like a 6-piece with some really beautiful, unusual colors. Maybe we can do like some of something really beautiful. A primary would be a good idea though. So we're gonna have to test that and see how it works. I think it'd be great. This is what I wanted to bring out today. I wanted to kind of revisit this a little bit. We've had this metallic watercolor set for ages. No, it's been a good bestseller for us for a long time. It's also a good thing, another good accompanying, another good partner or pairing with with this watercolor set. They're already colored, but they're not as pigmented, of course, as this. So you're going to get a lot more subtle shimmer with these than with the Gansai watercolors. So I use them, actually, I've got a couple ways I like to use them. I've got some samples and I had showed them earlier. I had them, I'm just going to demonstrate it now. But this little example, I did it a while ago, a few years ago, actually. I did it with a stencil. I put a stencil down and I put the watercolors over. I'm going to demonstrate how I did that. This over top is the Gansai watercolor, which highlighted it like crazy. So that's why I like to take, and here's just a little squiggle on the envelope to just make it, really special. But this is just a little greeting card. I think I did this at the trade show, one of the trade shows. I also used something else that this has actually only been in here. These are new compared to the old gel extremes. If you notice there's a little bit of some pen work here. It's really small, very subtle. And that was the gel extreme standard, the first one we ever had. This is the gel. This is the same color, or it's a purple color. And I'm going to show you the difference. This is a much brighter and juicier ink than the earlier version. So I'm just going to make little, kind of go over the lines a little bit. The good thing about this is if you take these pens and you can just use them as little bits of like highlights for your either, stenciled items. And I'm going to show you here, I'm using something old. I want to show you something new. I'm going to just grab some watercolor paper. You can use postcard paper, whatever you've got. I'm just going to grab some black. This is actually, so Stonehenge Aqua Cold Press Black. It's not inexpensive, but we also have our postcards that are in our stencil sets. Those work just as well for what I'm going to do. Maybe I should just go ahead and use that. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to spray. It has to be nice and damp before I start. And I'm going to grab a stencil brush. And I'm going to use a small one, kind of a small one. I'm going to grab a stencil too. And I've got this simple stencil that I'm going to just use. I've got several. These are actually ones I designed. And I wanted to share these because Judikins actually makes them for me. And they're really just a set of botanical stencils. And I just got some back in stock. And if you're interested in these, they will be on my Etsy shop this weekend. But right now they're not. They're sold out, but they will be restocked. These are just simple botanical, but you can use what's in our stencil kit already. I don't have access to that right now, or any stencil you have in your stash. You can use one with lots of openings or one with little openings. So I'm just going to use this one because I think it's going to be perfect for this little thing I'm going to show you. And I think it's just fun. And you notice I've wet this. It's got it nice and moist. And I'm going to take my stencil brush and I want to make a paste out of it. If it's not a paste, it's not going to work very well. So I kind of wait for that to become kind of pasty, almost like melted ice cream. And I get it so that's sort of thick. And I'm going to wait. I'll mix it a little white with that too. I'm going to get it so that it's nice and loaded on my stencil brush, but I don't want it wet and juicy and drippy. So I just kind of test it sometimes with just to make sure it's sort of on the drier side. And I'm just going to place the stencil right here because I plan to do some lettering on the left or on the right side. And maybe I'll just put it right here. Now I'm just going to kind of go around and I'm going to just kind of make some little marks here. And I'm just going to change the color. I want different colors in this. And I've done this before. I think we've done, I'm not sure on a Facebook Live, but we have, our stencil kit has little drag. Let's see, what does it have? It has a bee and a butterfly and a couple of flowers, I think. And it really is fun to do this technique with.
And
I
then
just
Karen,
happen,
sorry,
yeah.
I think I missed it, but someone asked for the link for the Etsy shop. Which Etsy shop did you
Uh-oh.
mention? And then I could look it up.
Oh, so it's actually on my Instagram profile and a link, one of those LinkedIn thing, not LinkedIn, but Linktree.
Oh, yes, yes.
I think my Etsy shop's up there. I just haven't.
Oh, okay.
If
All
you
right,
wanted to
I'm
do it,
gonna drop
I
that
didn't
in.
mean to make it a plug for my stencils, but I just realized, oh, I think people are going to probably want to know what these
Totally.
are. So,
Okay, I will. All right, so I got the Etsy shop link for Karen, and I will
and
drop that in there too. All right.
thanks. And it does say sold out right now because I haven't loaded them up, but by the end, maybe this weekend, hopefully this weekend I'll have it up. I just haven't had time. But this is just a fun little thing I wanted to share, a very simple technique that you can get a very nice impression of your image. And I can do this with the other images here too. Like I've got this one. I love this. I maybe do that. I could do another one, but I'm just going to stick to that one. And here, if I want to change the colors up, what you want to do is you change the colors, you just make sure all the previous color is out of your brush. And then you can make like other colors. So here I've got my beautiful green and just going to dry brush this, dry tap it. It's not really like you can scrub it a little bit, I guess, like this, but you don't want it really wet and crazy. I'm gonna put a little gold too. Now, this is a much more subtle shine than what the other, what our Gansai watercolors are, but wait till you see after these dry, I can come back and I can just highlight and brighten with my gel pens, with my Gel Extreme R2s. So I'm just kind of tapping, kind of varying the color a little bit, and I'm just going to lift up and I've got another image. So I'm just going to let that sit and I've got something fun to work with, but that's how you work with these. So you can also use these straight out of if you want to just use it like a watercolor. You can actually get just, like use it with your brush like you would a watercolor, because it is a watercolor and it's got a lot of gum arabic in it. It's very shiny. The trays, the paints are shiny looking. I can just use it as just brush it on like this. I wanted to join the little pieces together. It is just it's a little bit different than, there we go. Trying to join those so they don't look so stencil-like. And you can extend kind of change it up a little bit by extending the leaf farther down. You can join do some little parts up here. Then you can, what I love about stencils is if you're going to use a stencil, you can change it up till it becomes your own. It's just kind of like a nice guide to start. And then you can change it, do different things to it so it looks more like it's something that you did instead of like a stencil. But here we go, like that. So I'm just letting you know the options there on that. So what you do is after it dries, and I don't know if that's dry, maybe. Yeah, this one has lots of little, parts that are not joined. So this is what I do to make a stencil look less stencil-like, and that's in any of the stencils because they all have to have those bridges in order to be a stencil. I just join the pieces. I can do it with a pen, or I can do it with my watercolors. And here with the pen, I've got my purple, but maybe I'll use the pink, or something even more fun. I think that would be a pretty one. This pink color. And I'm just going to test it on my black paper to make sure it's working, and it is. And you can just take it and start, and you've got like a line. You've got something to work with, but it doesn't have to be out tracing it exactly. You can create marks. It's not dry enough. I just clogged the pen. But now I'm going to take some paper. Let me just grab a piece of paper here. It's always good to have Post-it notes. If you get some clogging in your pen, you can always go and come back to it. So as long as that's dry, I can go over it. But if it's wet, it's not going to be happy. So I'm just going to kind of create like a little scribbly stuff over that. I'm not trying to make it perfect. There we go. Just kind of be loose. That's what I like to do with stencils. It's like they are my guide. There they are. Kind of a guide, and then I just gives me a jumping off point, and I don't have that fear of not being able to draw something. But now I've got something that's I'm expressing myself, even though I use the stencil to start. And this is with all stencils. I find that they're just a great jumping off point for just having fun, making marks, and then making your own. So that's, you can see with that pink, look how gorgeous. I just love the way that turned out. And then I could do like a little writing with this pen or something else, but that, I love that. And I could do the same thing with this when it dries, you know, with some blues. I can just scribble all over it. But I love these pens. They're kind of like another thing to have in your kit, in your mixed media shimmery creating kit is these. Now, when I've been really desperate, I've also, when I didn't have my paints with me, you ever done this before? You actually make some metallic paint with these. You can do it if you have like a piece of, I don't think it's going to work. There it is. If you have a piece of plastic or something that you can see, I'm putting some color in there. You see that blue? I'm actually just coloring right on the plastic. And I do this on a plastic piece. If I had like a sheet of plastic, I would just do that. I'm just going to put some of that ink right onto this, and it becomes like a little palette. And then I can take it's very for small highlights, but I can take that and use it as a watercolor as well. So I've just activated that, and I'm going to put it on my leaf here. It's very subtle. And I think if I could use the silver, I would have probably done even better, but I don't think you see that. But you can use that also. The pen itself works great as a little watercolor, just to shimmer your watercolors a bit. You can do that with this. Here's what I was planning to do with this. So I've got my little, these little guys are not quite shimmery enough. So I'm going to add some more shimmer, and I'm going to just put a little shimmer on the edge of the wing on both sides here with this blue, and that looks like a drawing. But wait till I get my brush. While it's still wet, I'm just going to activate it and just blend it outward. And I'm going to do the same thing, blend it outward. And now I have created a little bit of shimmer, metallic, kind of a highlight in the wings. And I could do that with the other colors as well, just creating little bits of metallic. You can do this, just leave a little puddle of it. Or you can even put little dots here and there. Maybe I'll just try that. And then just move it around with a little water while it's still wet. And it kind of creates a nice little glaze of shimmer without it being overpowering and obvious. So those are another way that you can create shimmer on some of your paintings. This one really needs it. I'm going to do maybe some pink on this one just to show you the different colors. It will be more obvious when the color dries. I'm just going to do pink on both of these. Just kind of did that highlight, and then I'm just going to wash out a little bit, right? Just to come out a little bit. And then some of that pink is going to mix with that green and create like a nice kind of butterfly or dragonfly effect, which is iridescent looking. And I'll just turn it over and I'll do the same on this side. So you can see how really they're not limited to just being used as a pen for making words. You can use it as just a very subtle highlight creating tool. Now that, I want to make sure I shared that with you. And then the very last thing, I have just a couple minutes, I want to share something that is like gorgeous. It's just an amazing tool. This is our silverpoint tool. This is a new tool for us and fairly new. And I really want to talk about how cool it is to use with watercolor. I just discovered this with mineral paper. Believe it or not, it's like crazy. I was playing around with some mineral paper the other day. Now I find it in my mess here. It's amazing. Just grab. I guess I'll just do it. I'll just demo it. Okay, so here's my mineral paper. I'm gonna grab a piece here. And this is actually a coated paper. Mineral paper is calcium carbonate. There it is. Everything gets spread out everywhere. Here's some mineral paper. Now I'm going to take that stencil, because I have it out here. I'm just going to lay it on my paper. Now, this mineral paper is amazing as a surface for painting, watercolors, drawing, and everything else, but it's also for silver point. If you notice, it's going to make some marks on my stencil. So I'm going to just do some just fill it in. I'm going to use it like a pencil. I've got, the tip has actually been sanded down. If I didn't sand down the tip, and I'll explain that in a minute, if I don't sand down the tip, it might scratch my mineral paper. So I actually sanded it down with some fine grit, starting with a 320, I think, and then I went down to 2000, basically, to keep it from being scratchy. So my mineral paper is not going to be torn when I do this. And I'm just kind of scribbling through because I wanted some tones. I wanted some darker tones, maybe at the base of these little shapes here. And this would work for any stencil that has an opening big enough for you to put your tool in. And we have this 2 millimeter, but we also have the 1 millimeter. I don't think I sanded down my 1 millimeter enough to keep it from scratching. So I just got to be careful with that. But the silver point tool on its own is metallic. It is silver that I'm putting down. 99%. This is real silver. It's not. That is real silver. But see how beautiful. Oops, I didn't build this part. But little drawing, like a little sketch. And it looks like a hand-drawn sketch. It doesn't look, I'll fill this in. It doesn't look to me like a stencil at all. So I can take my my silver point and I can just kind of reinforce those shapes. I'll try doing this. This is the 1 millimeter. And I'm just going to draw the little, where the bridges are. I'm going to close those up. So now my drawing looks like a drawing. It does not look to me like I used a stencil. And I love that. I mean, I love stencils, but I try to make it so that it doesn't look so much like a stencil. So I've drawn that in, and I can go, if I just want to keep it black and white or just monochromatic, I can do that and just kind of fill in. But here's the beauty about the watercolor. Now, this is a great for watercolor sketching when you're drawing, just any drawing. This would be great on a mineral paper in watercolor. It's a perfect partner for that. So I'm going to take my paints and I'm just going to grab my essentials. And I'm just going to take some colors, and I think maybe whatever combination I've got some rose. And I'll start with a light wash first. And I'll just kind of go inside the lines inside. And this is where it takes, I know I'm going to go fast because I don't have much time, but this is where, you can you can do layers, or you can just keep it really simple. I don't think I'll do the whole painting, but I'm just going to go show you a little bit of how I did that one that was posted on Instagram. And here's one here. This is on a coated paper. But as I went through this and I kept kind of scrubbing, I noticed that with mineral paper, you can scrub with your brush and it won't damage the surface, unlike watercolor paper. I noticed that some of the silver kind of lifted, which made those lines a lot more subtle. And I thought that was a really interesting effect and something I want to explore some more, because I thought it was really cool that you can actually do that you can kind of lift up some of that silver and soften the lines, and or make them disappear altogether if you want. If you're doing a watercolor and you don't like the lines showing, these will virtually disappear. They'll still be there, but they will be much less noticeable than if you were to use a graphite pencil. Graphite pencil is going to really cause, it'll be obvious that you have a pencil, and a lot of times it's hard to erase the pencil marks when you've already applied the watercolor. But that's kind of that effect. And I wanted to share the silver point because as a tool to draw and to make shimmery lines, like I showed you in this one here on mineral paper, that's just silver point directly drawn into these little lines, and that created that shine. And this part was just silver point scratching over it. And I'm going to grab that one sheet. And I think I'm going to, if anybody has any questions, this is the time. If you have any more questions, you can ask. This is the perfect time. This is this technique with the watercolor over the mineral paper and using the silver point. And you can see it's very subtle. Those lines kind of disappeared. The lines totally left there. These lines are basically done with, they're done with our detail master, which the detail master pigment liner is beautiful on this mineral paper. It makes perfect, like, saturated black lines. And this is the one I was showing. I think I put this on my Instagram page, but look how subtle that is. And those silver lines just kind of disappeared. And it looks like just a painting. And this is the silver point that I used to make my initial, my little chop. So I just wanted to get you hopefully inspired to try different things. This would be fun to add some metallic gold actually while I'm at it. But as you can see, when the paints or when the watercolors start to dry, the silver point becomes part of the, it kind of integrates with the watercolor better than the graphite. I hope that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions before we sign off for today?
I don't see any questions, but people did really enjoy it. And I think it was really awesome that you showed so many things. I think a lot of people found out about products that they might not have like seen or known about before. So that was really cool. I think we have got a lot of people really excited to try some new stuff.
That's kind of how it works, isn't it? We kind of get on there. There's so many, that's the way it is. There's so many supplies, so little time.
Yeah.
But here's just a little, look at that gold going over the leaf, like it changes that completely.
Oh,
So, yeah,
so
I'll be
pretty.
here all day for the rest of the day, playing around. I hope that this inspired you to try different techniques. And remember, we do have an artist trading card swap coming up next month, June. So that's coming up, and all the details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been receiving your cards already. We've gotten a few submissions and they're fantastic. So thank you so much to everyone who's participating and making this so fun and exciting. And we haven't forgotten that someone asked about any artist trading card Facebook group. So we're gonna post a link or links for those in the blog post that goes with this demo, and then also in the blog post that goes with the artist trading card swap. So yeah, we'll update everybody if we can find some.
Yay.
Well,
Well,
thank
thank you
you,
for joining
everybody.
us. I'll keep painting, so I'll be here till like tonight. So
All right. Well, have a good weekend, everybody. We hope you head into the weekend feeling inspired to create some cool stuff. And we'll see you in the next one. So
thanks
thank you all.
everybody for joining us.